got a nice day, I've got some time free, and I'm taking a bit of a gamble here. I start a new job soon, part-time, and I might need to use the car, but I need to get this sill done. And I want to do that before I start the new job, because this is the biggest bit of welding, and I'd rather do it when I'm not trying to fiddle around new job's hours, whatever they end up being. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about what I'm going to find under here. It could be a mess. It might not be too bad. So we're going to do some prep work. I'm going to get this stainless trim off, and we will see what horrors I can find. One trim off. It's just held on with some screws. That's how it was done from the factory. And there's usually a rubber seal. Now, do remember, last time I did any work on this side, no, it wasn't the last time. The last time was when I did the jacking point. The time before that, I did some work on this side. We lost the rubber trim that goes between the sill and the trim itself. I don't know where it went, so I'll have to get a new one of those. I do know this piece back here was replaced at some point. I think I did that, but I can't remember. And you can see here, this is where that stainless trim screws on. There's another one there, and you can see the problem that's starting to appear. Now, I could patch repair this sill, but I've already done quite a few patch repairs on this, and I have a full panel, so I'd rather just replace the lot. Not really many surprises on here until I got to the front, and this was completely hidden behind that trim. So yeah, definitely needs doing, because this is, you know, it's not as weak as it looks, which is surprising, but it's not great. I have this aluminium strip here to remove. That's just a couple of little screws here, and then the seam for the sill is actually here, and I can tell you that there is filler in here. This has been replaced before my ownership, so these sills have been done once before. And hopefully it's done the same way the other side was, because the other side came off really easily. And once I'm in, I can then clean up what's behind here. Now, looking underneath the car, it doesn't look so bad, so I think we'll be okay. But I won't know till we cut this off. At the rear, the trim is already removed. I'd removed this years ago. It never got back on the car for whatever reason. And you can see there's some repair work back here. I think I did that. I think I had to replace this little piece around here, which is normally hidden under a plastic trim, which I didn't reinstate. It's supposed to prevent stone chips, but it actually just seems to trap water. Yeah, so this bit's not looking too bad at the back. But my one concern is to get underneath the B-pillar section here. I'm probably going to have to take the doors off. So the plan is clean up as much as I can with the doors on, and then, you know, weld everything in place. Take the doors off one at a time and weld the bits I can't get to with the doors on. I think that's the best course, but I won't know until I get into it, and I am procrastinating something fierce about this job. I've made the first cut, which, not a fan of it. I always forget how long the sills are on this car, so it does go through cutting discs quite quickly. I am, however, pleasantly surprised at the condition of what's inside the sill, which is a relief. So it looks like I definitely did replace this. You can see the join line there, which, you know, a few hedgehogs, but never mind. Most of the rust you see back here really isn't that bad. It's mostly just flaky surface stuff. Looks like I forgot to put any cavity wax in here, but that's kind of a good thing right now, because that's going to make welding a lot easier. I'm not going to have to deal with cavity wax. You can see this section here needs some repair. It's mostly just the bottom lip. This section here needs some repair, where you can see the rust there. It's mostly just the bottom lip, looking at that, and the jacking point is just about here. So again, it's going to be like the front end. There's a bit of a rust trap problem there, and that's what caused that. But as we go further down, it's really not that bad. This is really actually pretty solid. And then you get up to the front here, and this is the back side of that repair I did, which I did want to do from the back here, and I can now get to that and repair that properly. The leading edge of the sill here, you can see the return, which is part of the structure rather than part of the outer sill, and there's a little bit of repair needed on that brace by the looks of things, but overall it's really not that bad. I've unscrewed the bottom of the wing, so I should be able to just about get in here without chopping this off. That's a big job for another day, replacing that wing. Yeah, I just need to blitz through these spot welds on the bottom, and the outer sill will come off, and then I can look at doing this. Now, one thing I did want to show you is I didn't replace this section of the outer sill, the bigger section. Somebody else did before I got the car, but when they did it, this here is either the original sill or another sill replacement, and they didn't remove it, and they just welded over the top. So I need to deal with that, which is a pain because it's kind of all the way along, and it's also probably contributing to the rust here because you can see an extra sticky up bit, and that also is an old sill, either original or replacement, that's just been welded on top of and caused a rust trap. So, bit of a nuisance, but all very doable. Up at the front here, there's a bit more work than I initially expected. I've got quite a large piece going from back here all the way to the front there to replace. I'm going to pull this piece off here that I did before, so I can do this all in hopefully one piece. That means less welding, less grinding. Once I've replaced the inner sill piece, I can then get this welded down. It doesn't look like it's lost much material, so I think I can just clean the edge and just dress it down. It won't be exactly factory, but it will be close enough. There's a few smaller bits, like here a spot weld tore out, there's a little pinhole there, another one there, another one down here. The B-pillar brace here is actually in pretty good shape. There's a few little bits I want to just get with some weld, but there's nothing worth chopping out. I just want to put some thickness back in here. And although I thought I hadn't put any wax oil in, there is wax oil all over this. Or cavity wax rather. So clearly it's had some protection. That's a good thing. Next bad spot is this one, which is the rear jacking point. Now the rear jacking point itself seems pretty solid. The floor seems okay. I know there's a big repair in this back corner that I did years ago, but the inner sill, it looks like it's been having some problems there. So you can see there's another big patch. Funnily enough, very similar to the front around the jacking point. But as we get further back, spot weld where they tore out, and these braces. I am going to trim the bottoms off where they're rotten, put some new sections on and weld it back on. Now a lot of the welding in here I'm not going to grind back, I'm just going to leave it rough and ready and seam sealer over it, because that will make it as strong as I possibly can. For those of you who may be worrying about bracing and the shell warping and that sort of thing, I'm not an engineer, you're probably not an engineer either, and I'm not going to worry about it, because the inner sill on the car is completely there, the top rail of the sill is completely there, doors are shut, car is sat on its wheels on as close to flat as I can get it. So all I've done here is taken the outer sill off, which mostly is a dress panel. Now I know it does add some structure to the car, but it is mostly a dress panel. So I'm not really worried about anything moving or shifting, and I'm going to repair all of this inner sill structure that I've just gone over there before we deal with the next section. That should actually put some more strength back in at this point, and when I come to do the outer, it should mean that absolutely nothing moves. There's not really any way I could brace this anyway. I don't really know what I would do to brace it without those braces themselves getting in the way of the job I'm doing. The other plan is do it as quickly as I can, because the quicker I can get all the strength back in the car, the less chance it has to move. Sometimes things move very slowly, and that's really the best precaution I can sensibly take with this job. Right, I think it's time to wash all of this rust dust off me and get on with the next stage. Inner sill repairs as complete as I need them to be. Things like the brace here, it's not pretty, but it's functional, and it's better than what was there, so it'll do. The welding itself is actually going quite well. That's the big one at the back, all sorted, and I've repaired the bit of missing on the other side inside the car. Up at the front, similar story, not pretty, but it is solid. Plug welded through to the floor, the jacking point, done lots of bibbly bits, got the brace done there. I've also made sure that the drains here are reinstated as well as I can do. It's not the best way of doing it, but I've done it, which has stopped them filling up with water. So yeah, I'm having the fear though, because I've almost run out of gas again. It has been quite breezy today, so I think it's maybe just blown my gas away, but also this is quite a lot of welding realistically, and I'm only using a small bottle. I should have got a bigger bottle. Hopefully I've got enough just to tack the outer sill on, and then I can get another bottle ordered, because I think I'm going to need another one to finish this job fully, which I wasn't expecting. This is a job. I was hoping this would clean up fairly quickly, but it's not. It's proving to be a bit of a pain. This corner here, where you can see these welds, this is the repair I did a few years ago. And I'm pretty sure the only reason I did the back end here like this, rather than the whole sill, was I didn't have a full sill. And the majority of the sill was in pretty good shape, apart from this back corner. So that's the bit I did, and I remember when I did the other sill, and when I did this corner, that there wasn't a lot holding it on, but there was a lot of filler. And this side has been no different. There is so much filler, and it's got rust holes under the filler I didn't know anything about. And it's just being a bit of a battle. Now you can't really tell on this side, because I've still got quite a lot to dig out. So this is the back door. However, on the front door here, you can see that there are a couple of tacks, and then a big gap of nothing, a couple of tacks, nothing, a couple of tacks, nothing, a couple of tacks, and it's like that all the way along. Underneath, a lot of filler. Like this here, you can't even see what the profile should be. It is just filler. And it is putting up a fight. I'm just plodding away, and I think I'm at the point now where I've got enough cleared back, I can cut through these tacks and start peeling this outer sill that they've put on off, and as I peel it, it should break off the filler, and it should make it easier to get all of this cleared out back here. Now unfortunately I am going to have to take the doors off, which I really don't want to do, but there isn't any other way to get into this gap down here and this gap down here on the B pillar. I mean, underneath, all of this is in weld through primer now, so underneath is prepped, the inner sill is all repaired. I'm happy with that. It's just, this top rail is a pig. Oh, and it's probably also worth noticing, you see all these gouges, that's not me, that's underneath the filler, and the entire top of the sill is just bashed down into shape. which could also explain why my door gaps, even with my door repairs, are pretty poor on this side of the car, and always have been. We're not repairing doors today though, that's another big job for another day. I reckon I'm probably around about 4 or 5 hours into this job now, and I've probably got a couple more to go. But we are at a good point now because I've thrown the outer sill on, and apart from me having it shoved just a smidge too far forwards, as you can see here, right at the minute, it does fit pretty well, so I'm glad about that. The other side was the same. This is an old Hadrian panel. I don't think Hadrian still exists, I'm not sure. But I now need to do some prep, because along the bottom here, it needs to be spot welded to the inner sill. And when I did this last time, I found it a little bit of a challenge to get everything to stay lined up, because you can't really clamp anything on the top here, and it all wants to spring out on you. So I'm just going to have to do the best I can. This panel's been in storage a very long time as well, so you can see it's got a bit of a bow outwards at the B-pillar. So I've got to try and deal with that as well, get some protection on the back of it. There are some other repairs I'm going to have to do, but I think I'm going to have to do them another day. There's a little bit of laciness at the bottom of the B-pillar here on the outer skin. I don't think that's going to be too bad to do. There's also, in addition to our secret hole, there's another little one here. Now, I can fix these after this outer sill's on, and that's what I'm going to do, because I'm on a bit of a time crunch, and I've got to get this car back together. Remember, this is my only car at the moment. This is what will potentially be getting me to work and back, and all that sort of business. So I have to have it back in one piece, which is added stress I could do without, to be honest, but that's how it goes when you choose to live your life this way. Enough prattling on, let's get this sorted out. Yeah, now I've got to fight the doors on my own. I did it, but only just. Unfortunately, I am completely out of gas. And I was just getting closer and closer and closer with the nozzle until I started getting some really bad welds. What I've done is I've tacked along the top, and there are more welds along the top of this than there was when I took it apart, so I think that's perfectly fine for now. Caught a couple of bits where I'd gone through taking off the old sill, trying to figure out where the welds were through all that filler. I haven't done our secret hole, I ran out of gas, but I did do the little bit of hole that was up there, and I've got enough weld seam tack blob here that I should be able to just flap this back and put the door on and not worry about it. That was the thing I decided was best to do, was get it strong and then focus on the areas that are hard to do with door on. So same with the bottom of the B-pillar here. Now, this frilliness just here, I can deal with that later. I can take the door off, do the door, and do this at the same time, and I think that's how I'll deal with the front section there too. For the bottom, I drilled a lot of spot weld holes, but I've only done about 2/3 of them. And again, this was conservation of gas. This means the car is solid enough to use now. I can, put it back into service and it's okay until I can get another gas bottle, which I might be able to do this weekend. And then I can finish this job off and it'll be actually fairly quick. So, for now, I'm going to dress back these areas, get some paint on everything. Which might sound a bit strange, but again, I'm working outdoors. I don't know when I'll finish it. And then we can address the final finishing properly at a later date. As long as it's strong and rust-free, that's fine. The other nice thing is, as I was jacking the lip up to make it meet everything nice and tight, it was lifting the car as well wherever I jacked it up. So I've definitely put a bit more strength back in there, because previously I only wanted to do it under the jacking points, which is the only place you should jack it anyway. Yeah, no, that feels like progress. This was one of the biggest, scariest jobs, and if I'd had more gas, I could have finished it today. Don't go anywhere, I will bring you back in a few seconds, but for me, I don't know how long it will be. I shall have to find out.
Well, it's future me, and I've had a little bit of a mishap. I've lost some footage, so I can't show you the Sill finished. I did go through and do all the welding and get it all done, but I can't show you. You're going to have to take my word for it. Here is some footage of the Princess on my old drive at the place I was living when I took this footage, with the doors back on, so you can see it's all back together. I did get it all back together and finished in time for my new job that I had at the time, and yeah, we used the Princess as a car, which is exactly what it was designed to be. I was commuting in it on the daily, and you know, early morning commutes with other traffic, rush hour on the way back home, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine. It was also the oldest thing I ever really saw when I was in the commute, by quite some margin, and it did confuse some drivers. You get a real mixed bag when you're out in a car like this at peak times. Some people just treat it like another car. It's, you know, nothing special. Some people are quite aggressive, and they really want to be in front of you. They don't want to be near you. They don't want to give you any space. I don't know whether that's just because they're like that all the time, or because they see, oh, old car, it's going to hold me up, it's smelly, it's dangerous. No idea. And some people are extra nice and extra polite and give you space and know what stopping distances are. So, yeah, but it is a surreal experience. Being in a car this old and mixing with regular traffic in like a normal modern day situation is very strange. Much more so than the last time I did it with this car. I mean, I've had this car for 14 years, and it's been my on and off daily commuter throughout that time, and now it's a much different experience to what it was 14 years ago. The traffic landscape has changed quite a lot in a very short period of time. So yeah, you can do it, but it is, I don't know, I can't see a new driver gelling with it quite as well as an older driver that's used to driving something of this age. Anyway, that's something for a different video. Before I sign off completely here, please do check the description box below. There's ways to support me and the channel down there. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm still trying to hit that magic 1,000 subscribers. Patrons, thank you very much for your support. You are the most important thing for this channel and for what I do. And of course you get early access, so you get to see this video before anybody else. And you don't get adverts. So yeah, there's more welding to come. Oh yes. But well, I'll have a chat about that with the patrons in a little bit. And if you want that chat, you're going to have to go over to my Patreon to find out what I'm going to be nattering on about. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. It's normally Tuesdays at 3. Cars one week, craft stuff the next week. Stay safe out there, and hopefully you don't have as much welding to do as I've got to do.